at the forefront of politics.
Our enemy is Trump. He is the enemy. We got to unite. If we're not a united party, we lose to Trump.
On the front lines of activism.
There's certain fights, if we don't engage, they win. This is a fundamental question of who we are.
And delivering your daily dose of comedy.
Donald Trump, when he had his physical, they had his blood pressure, and mine is higher than his. Oh. And the irony is mine is higher because of him.
From the blue wave.
We flipped. Enough seats to take control of the House. We control the House.
To 2020 and beyond. This is the Dean Obeidallah Show on Sirius XM Progress, Channel 127.
And welcome to the Dean Obeidallah Show, brothers and sisters of the Resistance. Monday, July 1st. We're in July. Oh, my gosh. I'm Dean Obeidallah, hoping to be your MBFF. I'm on Twitter at Dean Obeidallah, Facebook.com/Dean of Radio. Drop me an email. I'm there, waiting. I'm needy. Dean at deanofradio.com. A lot to talk about. I'm dying to talk about the new CNN poll, but we're not going to just do horse race stuff because it's like it's addicting to just do horse race stuff. It's exciting. You see the candidates moving around. We'll touch on that later, but I want to talk about some real issues as well. And we're live right through Wednesday, by the way, in case you're wondering. I know some people will be working over the 4th of July holiday weekend, but we'll be here through Wednesday doing a live show every night, pounding away, bringing you information, hoping to make you smarter while making you laugh at the same time. Yesterday I was on Reverend Al's show on MSNBC. Enjoyed chatting with him as always. We talked about the polls and the horse race, but we talked about Donald Trump and his dancing with the dictators. There he was out there, his BFFs, a whole bunch of dictators. In fact, here's John Oliver last night on his HBO show talking about Donald Trump's love of the dictators. Clip number 1, please.
Trump was overseas this week meeting with his favourite authoritarians. He joked with Putin about meddling in US elections, called Saudi Prince Mohammed bin Salman a friend of mine, and just this morning popped across the DMZ to North Korea with Kim Jong-un, while seemingly being thrilled that he'd been invited over.
It's just an honor to be with you, and it was an honor that you asked me to step over that line, and I was proud to step over the line. I thought you might do that. I wasn't sure, but I was ready to do it, and I want to thank you. It's been great.
That's actually nice. So Trump wanted to step over the line, was ready to do it, but waited until he received affirmative consent. What a refreshing change of pace for him. Maybe Trump's mantra going forward should be treat women with the same respect you show murderous autocrats. He's growing. Good for him.
He's not growing. He's the worst. And so Donald Trump did go to North Korea yesterday, and I'll just play one clip, then we'll do a little summary. We have coming up in a little bit on the show, not long from now, we have a 2020 presidential candidate coming on. We have the governor of Montana, Steve Bullock, who will join us for a little bit. Then we'll take phone calls after that. And next hour, we'll have a lot of time for phone calls at the top of the hour. But so yesterday, Donald Trump goes to North Korea. And of course, for some reason, he has to bring up President Obama. Because everything Trump does in a way is, in his mind, an inner competition with President Obama. He tried to delegitimize him as president. He had questions about his school grades. He is so horribly jealous of Obama. Obama will always be better at everything Trump does, in every measurement, in every way. There's no doubt about it. But here's Donald Trump, for some bizarre reason, at the press conference yesterday, bringing up President Obama in North Korea. Here's clip number 2, please.
President Obama wanted to meet, and Chairman Kim would not meet him. The Obama administration was begging for a meeting. They were begging for meetings constantly, and Chairman Kim would not meet with him. And for some reason, we have a certain chemistry or whatever.
Oh, he has such a certain chemistry. I can imagine. By the way, just so it's clear, that was a lie. L-I-E, lie. Not stunning. Donald Trump's a serial liar. We know that. President Obama never tried to meet with Kim Jong-un. And Ben Rhodes, who worked with the Obama administration for 8 years, who's now an MS contributor, but he was part of the National Security Inner Council with President Obama, publicly stated, and others as well. He never wanted to meet with him. And no president meets with dictators or brutal authoritarians. If you've negotiated a deal, perhaps you, at the end, you sit down and you sign that agreement. And we've made deals with horrible people, but you don't do it in this scenario like that. And so let's sum up the week of dictatorship runs here with Donald Trump and how he did things and how he went. It started out the G20. First, he was with Putin, his BFF, his campaign manager from 2016. And I think he was meeting with him because like 2020 is coming up. I need your help. And certainly. So there he joked, of course, about don't meddle in the elections. Reporter asked him, Did you talk to him about not meddling? And he said, I told him don't meddle. Then he joked about reporters and said he'd like to get rid of them. To Putin, a man there's 26 journalists that have disappeared in Putin's time as president of Russia. And many investigative journalists did that. Then later at the G20, he met with Mohammed bin Salman, who is the MBS, as people know him, the prince in Saudi Arabia, a man who the CIA said was involved, our CIA said MBS was the person who ordered the killing of Jamal Khashoggi, who was the reporter from the Washington Post. What did Donald Trump say when asked about that? Donald Trump said MBS, he defended him by saying he's very angry about it. He's very unhappy about it. The guy ordered the killing. What do you mean he's very angry about it? And then Trump goes to North Korea, who he says their friendship is particularly great. That's the actual quotes. It's remarkable who Donald Trump could be friends with, isn't it? And North Korea, and this is something you won't hear from Trump's lips or anyone in his administration, his regime, is horrific. He has one of the worst human rights records in the world. He is brutal. His government restricts all civil and political liberties, including freedom of expression, assembly, association, and religion. It also prohibits all organized political opposition. North Korea's media is something Trump dreams of, most tightly controlled in the world. Reporters Without Borders rank it the least in the nation, and the bottom of the Freedom Index. Citizens can be and are sent to prison for viewing, reading, or listening to content provided by international media outlets. People convicted are put in jail for just being a dissident. And of course, Kim Jong-un was involved in killing American college student Otto Warmbier. But Trump, they have great chemistry. They're buddies. And what's even scary is that you have Tucker Carlson on Fox News defending this. Because he goes over there and he hangs out with him. Tucker Klansman meets with Donald Trump and says publicly in his story yesterday, he does not defend North Korea. Don't get me wrong. I'm not going to play games here. I'll be honest about that. He says, I'm not defending North Korea, but he goes, on the other hand, you've got to be honest about what it means to lead a country. It means killing people, Tucker says. Not on the scale North Koreans do, but a lot of countries commit atrocities, including a number that we are closely allied with. So there is Tucker Carlson telling the Fox News audience that it's okay Donald Trump does not call out the horrific human rights violations of North Korea. And it's all about whatever works for making a deal. And if Trump were to make a deal with North Korea to limit their nuclear weapons, that's one thing. And that could be a productive thing, to be blunt. I mean, no one wants war. But you have Tucker Carlson normalizing this. You have Trump normalizing this. And sometimes you wonder, if you look through world history, how did these dark days happen? How did people remain silent or support crimes against humanity? And part of it is what you see with Tucker Carlson doing. And part of it is you see what Donald Trump is doing. Instead of calling out human rights violations, because Trump could say, I'm going to meet with the guy, but he's horrific. But he doesn't say that. He doesn't say it at all. And you don't have to do it even in front of him. I get that, all right? You're trying to make a deal. But you can tell the American media, I'm going to meet with him because it's important for our nation, but he's horrific. And he still meets with him. Why? Because as he told you, you heard his own words. It's all about, I like the guy. We get along. We have great chemistry. And then you might be saying, okay, well, at least he's getting us to some kind of deal with North Korea. What kind of deal with North Korea? Yesterday was like a replay of another episode on the Trump reality show. We've seen this. We've seen this time and time again. How many times has Donald Trump met with a North Korean leader? Anyone know? Well, this was the third. What happened in the first one? In June of 2018, you have Donald Trump meeting with a North Korean leader in Singapore. After the meeting, Donald Trump tweets, there's no longer a nuclear threat from North Korea. That's literally his tweet. It's over. Nothing to fear, saying it's all done now. There's no more. He said the exact words, there's no longer a nuclear threat from North Korea. That was in June of 2018, the first time they met. What really happened? North Korea, as independent experts have said, no doubt about this, North Korea has continued to develop nuclear capability and weapons. There's no doubt about that. Then Donald Trump, February 2019, he goes to Vietnam. He meets with the guy again. What happens in that very special episode of the Trump reality show, you might recall? He stormed out in a huff. He was angry. Trump left, and nothing came of it. So that was their second photo op. Lots of press, lots of photos. What happened just last month? North Korea fires 2 ballistic missiles in violations of UN resolutions. John Bolton, who's in the administration, as a neocon war hawk, says it's a violation of the UN resolutions. Trump actually defends Kim and say it's not. Technically it is. It is a violation of UN resolutions. So you had that second meeting. Nothing came of it, but you have more development of weapons. You have the guy testing ballistic missiles. So what does Trump do? Does he say we need more sanctions? The guy's firing missiles, developing more nuclear weapons? No. He rewards him by traveling all the way to North Korea to reward him with a meeting with the man who is the president of the United States of America. As much as we see him as despicable and vile, to the world, he is still the president of the United States of America. And it means a lot when a third world barbarian dictator can meet with the president of the United States and there's not 1 ounce of criticism for the horrific record of that leader. What is Trump saying to the world, folks? What is Trump saying when he hangs out with Putin and defends him and jokes about a Russian military attack on our election in 2016? What does it say to the world when he defends MBS for killing a journalist? What does it say to the world when he goes there with North Korea and doesn't even say a word about the human rights violations? Or even American Otto Warmbier, who was dropped off in America essentially brain dead. Trump is how democracies die. Let's be blunt. Trump is how democracies die. He chips away little by little. He normalizes what should not be normalized. He makes it seem okay to be buddies and hang out and laugh and joke and not even call out for a second the horrific violations of human rights from Putin to MBS to here, North Korea. And this is where we are. And again, if you're going to say to me, well, he's making progress in North Korea, if he was, we could have a different conversation. I would be sincere. If he was making good progress with North Korea, what's the lesson of this? Maybe the Ayatollah in Iran should learn how to play golf. Then he can play golf with Trump, and maybe he'll let him have nuclear weapons as well. And to show you how ridiculous this is and how it's not making any effort whatsoever toward what the goal is of administration after administration. What has been their goal, folks, since Bush? It is to not allow, it's actually to have, in the case of North Korea, to get rid of the nuclear weapons. That's the whole thing. They have now 20 to 40 to 60, depending what estimates you see, of nuclear weapons. It's not like Iran. North Korea has nuclear capability. They have weapons. We know it. The whole thing has been to get them to agree through a package of incentives, economic aid, help them build their country to get rid of these. What did Donald Trump say today? It was in the New York Times. He didn't say, but it was reported, so this was an intentional leak. Trump is considering now no longer asking them to get rid of the nuclear weapons, just to freeze what they have. That's the art of the deal, folks. Give everything away. Give it away because he thinks he's getting a Nobel Peace Prize because Obama has one, and everything this guy does is to dismantle what Obama does and try to match Obama and try to eclipse him. He will never do any of those. So for those on the right who are going to go, oh, but he's meeting with them over war. Yeah, that is good, but he's doing nothing. It's not like we're going to have a war tomorrow with North Korea. It's up to us to have a war or not. We're not going to have a war. If he fires more missiles, we'll put more sanctions. No one's going to war. China backs North Korea, folks. We're not going to war with North Korea. That's not on the table. And so now Trump's fallback is you can keep your weapons, keep all the nuclear weapons you've got and you want. They used to talk about on the right that North Korea was going to give a nuclear weapon to Iran. Part of the acts of evil. That's all gone too. This is unreal what we're seeing. And Trump supporters are all on board. I'm not being facetious. Donald Trump tomorrow could meet with ISIS and go, you know what? ISIS, we got chemistry. I don't know why I like him. He likes me. We're buddies now. ISIS is now our friend. No problem. ISIS is coming to the White House next week. And you know what? Trump supporters are like, yeah, you know what? I guess Trump makes a good point there. Maybe ISIS actually misunderstood. North Korean leader Kim is a barbaric murderer. Hideous murderer. One of the worst on this planet in human rights. They have gulags, prison systems, thousands and thousands of people. All they do was dissent. They force them into forced labor, free forced labor. That's the country. Torture. They use sexual assault as a weapon that is sanctioned by the government. That's all in the human rights reports that I read today. It's a horrific country. Doesn't mean you can't make a deal with them. That's not what I'm talking about. You don't go up and kiss up to the guy. We have great chemistry. He's my buddy. What does the world see? Let me ask you this. If you knew nothing about the United States of America and you see the leaders Trump fights with as opposed to those he likes, what would you say? And the ones he fights with are the Western leaders. He has spats with Western leaders. Who does he have great chemistry with and seems so gleeful? With Putin, with MBS, with Sisi in Egypt, and of course Kim in North Korea. If you knew nothing about the United States, you would think our countries are like those countries because their leaders get along with Trump. They're all authoritarian, oppressive people. And here's the blunt reality. If Trump could be like them, he would be. And we don't have to guess. Trump has told us every instinct he has. He told us he wants to shut down the media. Fake news. How many times has he gone after our media? He's joked just this week again, just last week again, retweeting Trump forever, president forever. These are not jokes. This is the reality of what the guy wants. Close down the media, silence opponents, imprison his political opponents. He's given you every detail. He's shared with us everything. You see him for what he is. We see him for what he is. This guy's a danger. And then on July 4th, he's going to give himself a military parade. Now, the Washington Post is reporting today, we'll see if it's true or not, he wants tanks. His dream of being this fascist dictator who stands up there and the military goes by and he salutes them and gives them a whatever kind of salute. He wants tanks to go down the street to honor him. Not honor the United States of America, because no president's ever needed that. Not in modern day, I should say. He wants it to honor him. Donald Trump is cut from the same cloth. He shares the same values as those dictators, those murderers. He shares no American values. And I say that bluntly. And, people on the right call up and email me. You can't believe what you say. I believe with every fiber of my being that. So let's take a break. Let's hear from you. 866-997-4748. Give me a call right after this. Look, it's time the media start calling out Trump's false statements for what they are. Lies. Trump is a liar. And by the looks